Welcome to this edition of the Wonderbury podcast.
I'm Brian.
I'm Dave.
And you can find us online at wonderbury.com.
And I am D. Wonderly on Twitter.
Or I'm Brian Keysbury, anywhere the internet can be found.
You can leave us questions on our Facebook page or on our website. Check for the links in the description. I beat you on that one.
Oh. You could also leave us comments on our Reddit page that I forgot to put on the website.
Well, you have something to do today then.
Something to do. On top of the million other things.
Yeah, right?
Gotta do an episode. Go to work. Gotta work a regular job because nobody listening to this pays me. We do this. We do this for free, just purely for your entertainment. It's a lot of work. Takes me like 2.5 minutes to edit an episode. That's 2.5 minutes I could have been watching Star Trek fan fiction videos on YouTube. I give that up for you guys, just for you.
Yeah, for these I don't do a whole lot extra for this stuff. It's the other stuff that I've been slacking on, so
I pretty much got it down to a science. I have everything templated. I know your voice. I know my voice. All the settings are preset. I just drop the videos in and slide them to where they need to be.
Oh, the BTSs are all... The only thing I have left to do through them is to go through and listen to them and switch back and forth in our camera angles and push export. I think I've already got all the audio aligned, so
yeah.
It's just a matter of taking 2 hours to listen to us drone on and on and on for a while. Incoherent ramblings.
I've been looking at different sidechain triggers in Reaper, so I'm trying to figure out how to use an audio trigger to mute a track, so it would essentially just automate that for you. You know how I love automation.
Just give me the raw audio combined of both of us and I'll be happy. Because then I can just align our videos. I can strip the audio out of both of our videos and align it up with the audio track, and I don't have to cut anything in the audio. I just click back and forth between the video. It's super simple once I get it aligned. All I have to do is just align it and then watch, and when I decide that I'm tired of looking at my face or your face, I switch to the other one.
If I did that, it would just be a video of me. I'm like, I never tire of looking at my own face.
Well, the problem is sometimes it ends up being that way when one of us starts recording much earlier than the other one.
Yeah.
It's like I got 10 minutes of your video before I actually hit record.
I noticed we flip-flopped that a couple of episodes. Like one there was like 10 minutes of you, and then the next one there's like 10 minutes of me. I was like, at least we're keeping it even. Sweet. Yeah.
Equal opportunity screen timers.
So automation.
That means I have to take away from reading and try to decide what's fake news and what's real news, depending on what the administration finds to be unacceptable as news sources or hurtful. All right, never mind. I'm going to get into politics. That's
just watch his Twitter.
God,
you'll figure out what's real.
Yeah. The problem is if we do that, we end up thinking it was a massacre in Bowling Green or Switzerland. That was hilarious. The Swiss authorities are like, can someone from the White House please enlighten us as to what happened in our country? Because we don't know.
Well, that's the thing, is the mass media isn't covering these terrorist attacks that happened. Apparently. Leave it up to us, the independent journalists, to cover these attacks.
Thank you, Alex Jones, for taking time out of your interdimensional space portals for aliens and the lizard people coming down to be our overlords to tell us what the real news is.
You know what the real news is? Sean Spicer is no longer the White House Easter Bunny. Disappointing.
Yeah. You know what else is the real news? Wendy's is pissing a lot of people off right now.
No way, man. Except this guy. I'm like, you know what? Perfect burgers every time. Sign me up. It's like,
they're not replacing the people making the shit in the back. They're just replacing the people taking your order, the ones that piss you off.
Yet.
Well,
Keyword.
Yes, but
yet.
So there's a mixed review through all this. My personal opinion is automation is automation. It's been happening since the 70s. Buckle up, because if you're just now learning about things going automated.
No, it's been happening for longer than that. Henry Ford started it with the Model T.
Yeah, but I
just
meant
automating his assembly line.
Well, he didn't automate it. He streamlined the assembly line system.
Yeah.
He didn't replace actual people with machines to build the cars.
So
that started happening in the mainstream.
Before there was...
But even in fast food, even in the fast food industry, it's not new. Panera did this 2 years ago? 2 years ago?
Yeah, but this is the first big one. Like...
Because Panera Bread's not big enough.
I mean, it's not... I don't like Panera.
Neither do I. So, unpopular opinions.
I mean, their French onion bread bowl is about all they got. Anyways, Wendy's, 1,000 stores with automatic kiosks.
Didn't McDonald's do that in airports for a while?
I don't know. I know they kept talking about it.
I remember there was a group that did it in some airports. They did the automatic kiosk things. Or you could also order from your mobile device when you got to, like, you landed, ordered, walked to it, and picked it up.
Yeah.
Like,
God, that would be amazing.
How awesome is that? That's the real key right there. So you build up almost like a vending machine with slots that has each individual doors that open, and they open on a custom QR code that you scan. So you order your food from your phone, you pay for it from your phone, it gives you a QR code, you walk up to the big machine thing that tells you it's done, you have it scan your QR code from your phone, it opens up your door, you reach in, grab your food, and go. You don't see another human being, you have 45 seconds of interaction with the actual system, and you're good. That's where we need to be.
Yeah. And it's going to happen, and it's going to work. And even Wendy's said the kiosk it's just a starter. It's a test to moving towards mobile ordering. And I'm absolutely amazed that fast food hasn't caught on, because you know what already does 100% of this? Pizza.
Yeah.
What happened the last time you ordered a pizza? Did you get online, pick out what size, what cut, what sauce, every single topping? Like, every single restaurant, any sort of like fast food, like, I want it now to take home, or I want to just grab it and eat. Like
Applebee's and Chili's the last couple of years has been experimenting with putting tablets at the individual tables for you to place your order and then pay for them.
Yeah.
So you actually never have to interact with a waitress other than filling your drinks and bringing you your food.
Yeah. It really, really makes me wish that Applebee's had good food.
Dude, Applebee's food is so awesome, I won't even go for my free meal once a year for Veterans Day. I'm like, free steak from Applebee's? No, thank you. I'll stay home and pay for something.
It's all right. Oh, man. So what? I gotta start sending you an MRE every year for Veterans Day.
No.
Hey, Dave. Thanks for serving. Happy memories.
But if you do, please make it either spaghetti or pot pie.
Ooh. I love spaghetti.
Hey, let me find this article real quick, because...
Okay, you look that up. I'm going to talk about McDonald's for a second.
Go for it.
I remember maybe a year or two ago, I read an article. McDonald's had put out a statement when everybody was bickering about minimum wage, and they said, "Look, there's a lot of McDonald's employees that they're the ones that want the higher minimum wage, but here's the deal: we can afford to pay a person up to and I think it was either 10 something an hour or 12 something an hour." And they said at that point, it becomes cheaper for us to build a fully automated system to cook and flip burgers, and we don't have to pay people anymore. And at that point, I was kind of excited. I was like, good, because McDonald's screws up my order 100% of the time anyways. And I know if there's a robot back there that it's going to come out. It's going to come out right.
Yeah. The problem with that is that other countries have had higher, like Australia, for example. Their minimum wage is somewhere around $15, and their Big Mac is 22 cents cheaper than ours.
Yeah.
McDonald's, and this is my problem with them saying that, minimum wage can't be raised, it can't keep up, etc., is that the inequality, and I don't like using that word, so let me try a different way of saying it, because it sounds way too, everyone needs to be paid the same, and I don't believe that at all. In 1970, the average CEO made 70 times the amount of the average worker.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problems with that. In 2015, the average CEO made 410 times the average worker. There's your disparity. There's what they're saying they can't afford it is because of that.
Yep.
I'm sorry, but when I talk about the balance is off and the inequality, I'm not talking that everyone needs to be paid equal. I get that the CEO needs to be made more, and that's fully acceptable. But let's go back to the 1970s standards. Let's go back to the 80s standards. It's going completely out of control right now.
And I mean, the corporate, the executive level bonuses, I think, are another huge part of the issue, because if you're running a company and a company isn't performing well,
yeah,
why should you be getting a bonus?
Because they can't.
Yeah, like they sign off on it themselves. But a lot of it's gonna start changing, moving. There's gonna be a lot more automation. We won't need stuff like that.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
What was that?
That was the fact that my road is right along the main through for a hospital and the fire department.
Ooh. Anyways, I am
yeah.
Personally,
no, I'm all for automation. And for people that say it's going to kill the little guy, it's going to kill the small jobs, get on board. It's been happening. No one talks about the demise and laments about the demise of the switchboard operator.
Yeah. Like,
it just doesn't happen anymore because we've moved on from there. We've digitalized. It's what happens.
And I use craft brew as a craft brew beer as an example for a lot of things like this, because, and like Bud Light is what, a fifth of the price of most craft brews.
Yep.
And there's still a market. There's still a market.
But it's also horse excrement, so
yeah, doesn't matter.
But yeah, there will still be a market. There will still be a niche market for this. It's not going to completely go away. But as the mainstream moves forward, you're going to see a lot more of this automation. You know, we have to get out of our heads and out of our mindset that we are a hand. Our industry is no longer hand manufacturing. The United States has moved beyond that, and anyone trying to keep us there is trying to keep us back. There's a reason why we're not innovating in technology anymore. There's a reason why Japan. You want automation? Go to friggin' Japan. They automate everything. But they also then lead the world in technology at the moment.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
One of the things I keep seeing with China is like the issue with how cheap stuff is. And people are like, oh, it's crappily made products. I'm like, no, it's pretty much the same as American quality now. They make stuff cheaper because they have a complete vertical integration. So they
also make stuff cheaper because their workers are,
they're underpaid.
Well, they're underpaid and they're one step up from slave. I mean, when Foxconn has to put nets outside of windows to keep people from killing themselves, there's a problem.
Yeah.
But
see, that's and part of that, it's not all Chinese companies like that either.
No, it's not.
You know?
And it is getting better because there's a lot more knowledge about it and there's a lot more outrage about it, and because of information and because of being able to get that information out, the Chinese workers are managing and being able to push toward rights and safety, and it's changing. But that's also why a lot of manufacturing now is starting to move back to the United States, because it's no longer as cost effective to be over in China. So we see a reboom in manufacturing, especially in metal and plastic components, because it's no longer cost effective to ship that and outsource it. The reason why electronics aren't moving back is because China holds most of the rare earth metals, where it comes from the ground, that gets put in these things. And if you're going to import something, it's cheaper to import an actual component than the raw components into the United States to build and assemble.
Yeah. And that's where they get ahead with their vertical integration.
Yep.
They can take a raw ingredient into a factory. It processes it. There's a factory right next door. That product only moves, 100 yards, and then it turns into something else. Then it moves another 100 yards into another factory, turns into something else, and then comes out of that factory as a finished product. Whereas here, we have a raw ingredient goes into a factory in California or Nevada, and then it gets sent to, like,
Georgia,
Ohio,
North Carolina.
Georgia, yeah. And then to Michigan. And that adds a huge amount of expense having to travel that product that far in between each step of the way.
Yeah, if you want to fix manufacturing in the United States, we need a centralized location. It doesn't get much more centralized than Shenzhen or Shanghai, which they have another multi-complex outside Shanghai. But Shenzhen and Shanghai, there's a reason why almost everything electronic happens in Shenzhen. Because that's where it's
at.
Yeah, they decided, hey, this area is going to be everything.
That's why I'm excited for Elon Musk, because he's building his gigafactory. He's got a huge lithium deposit right outside the factory. It's fully vertically integrated. He's going to just bring that right inside.
Well, and that's why he's managing to be successful. That's why he's going to be successful at it, is because he's not shipping pieces and raw material all over the place. He's keeping it in one location. He is taking the Chinese model that has shown why it works for cost effectiveness, and he's applying it. Mm-hmm. And then when he wants to ship something across, then now he's building automatic, driverless
semis.
Because that's what we need is driverless.
This guy.
That's what we do need for his driverless semis, because then we won't have semi guys falling asleep and running red lights.
They're doing too much meth and driving 30 hours at a time.
Did you see that article that was released out this week? Full operating system in a film stored on DNA.
Yeah.
And were completely recovered with 0 errors.
I didn't get to read the article, but I saw the headline. It was just like,
They wrote 6 files, a full computer operating system, an 1895 French film, don't ask me why, an Amazon gift card, a computer virus, idiots, a pioneer plaque, and a study by information theorist Claude Shannon onto 72,000 DNA strands, each 200 bases long. They then use sequencing technology to retrieve the data and software to translate the genetic code back into binary. The files recovered with 0 errors. Holy crap. So the bits of the files were attached to DNA nucleotides. And yeah, they can reach a density. Okay, so you can gauge a density of 215 petabytes per gram of DNA. DNA lasts for over 100 years before it starts to break down. That puts anything we have now to shame.
Yeah.
I mean, discs from the 90s don't even work anymore half the time.
Oh, my hard drives don't last more than a year most of the time.
I mean, the researchers are saying that it's probably going to be more than a decade before this will be out to the consumer and the general public, but 215 petabytes of data per gram of DNA.
So the next iteration
my arm
of Google
up with
Glass
a USB
is going to be
port.
amazing, right?
Hook my arm up to a USB port. I will have a port stuck in my arm somewhere. Please. I will be the first to volunteer for that.
I'm right on. That's why I'm such a huge fan of cybernetics
But this is
stuff
even
like
just
this. I'm like, this is gonna be a means to a way. Like we're gonna once we handle this, we're gonna learn how to rewrite memories.
I don't know if it'll go that. I mean, it might go that far, but even this, hey, you need more space? Here, blow your nose. There's more space.
I had the idea. Somebody somewhere is going to hear it and go, that's a fantastic idea, because I forget stuff all the time. This guy. Can you imagine if I had visual and auditory inputs and what do you have, like 8 senses now or something? Anyways. And that just like properly writes itself to DNA and stores it, and I can retrieve it easily without like having to set myself reminders on my phone.
I know. Right. Speaking of, set yourself a reminder for the Reddit page.
Okay, Google. Well, okay, Google.
Without setting my phone off.
Reminder to add Reddit to website.
While he's doing that, so Google is bringing Assistant to our phones. I know.
Good.
Hopefully they'll also bring Daydream over, because that would be phenomenal.
Time.
Daydream would probably be one of the first VR things that I would actually purchase and use. I tried Cardboard for a bit, but it was still very rudimentary. Daydream I would use. And somehow figure out how to record this thing in 360 and 3D, and that would be weird. We've talked about this. I'm still not quite on board with the idea just yet.
I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, I know. We will.
Figured out.
It'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Be way too much fun.
Not for the listener/viewer. I have some audio effects that are, one of them's called Ping Pong Pan, and I have another one called Roto Sound, I think. And what it does is it kind of moves audio back and forth through your headphones based on, whatever your metronome's set at, or however you want to set the ping pong to. And I'm like, I could convert those to video. Like somebody could be in a 360 degree viewing of us, and all of a sudden we're just like, whoop, whoop, whoop.
That would be We do not provide barf bags with our systems.
Yep. View at your own discretion.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. But no, future's looking good. I mean, automation is not something that we should shy away from. It's something we should embrace. It allows more people to get into better industries. Also, we have coming up a generation, the millennial generation and those younger, is going to be the highest educated generation in American history. And jobs like, there's always going to be a place for unskilled laborers. But we don't have, I think we have more unskilled labor jobs than we have unskilled people. And so we're taking skilled people and shoving them into unskilled labor jobs and telling them to just deal with it. And I don't think that's fair to the people who have spent the time, energy, and money to become educated and to get into a skill. And it's not moving forward. Whether or not it's fair or not doesn't matter. We're not moving forward as a society and as a nation when we try to stay back to what we were. We have to keep moving forward. We have to keep walking forward and keep exploring new heights. Because the moment we become stagnant is the moment we just burn and go away. And we're seeing that in education. We're seeing that in a lot of things where we're not where we used to be in the lead because we found something that, hey, this pushed us to the lead. Let's do this from now on. Well, the rest of the world is pushing forward. We're holding to what worked back then, and it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Manufacturing and a war machine is not going to save the United States economy.
Nope.
We have to get out of that mindset. Yes, it worked. It worked for a very long time. But what we're seeing now is it doesn't work anymore.
It's because we ran out. We ran out of countries to go demolish.
Well, it's not just that.
North Korea is left.
We can build a single. People talk about that. Like the Navy is not nearly as powerful as it was. We don't have as many seamen. We don't have many ships. The firepower that sits on one aircraft carrier can do more damage than 4 fleets of battleships.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking. It's insanity. We also don't have bayonets and horses anymore. There's a reason for that. Because a tank can do what those guys used to do. We have drones.
Yeah,
we
drone
have
airships.
Unmanned predator drones that can go in and surgical strike. Those are being piloted by some guy sitting in a tin can in Arizona.
Mm-hmm. With an Xbox One controller.
That's not that far from the truth. So, just because we don't have the numbers, just because we don't do what we did, doesn't effectively make us weak. Trying to hold on and do what we used to do, scrapping what we do now, or scrapping drones, or scrapping these things, and trying to build battleships, isn't going to make us better. Isn't going to make us more powerful. Isn't going to save us. Scrapping out these jobs and replacing with automation isn't going to bring us to our knees unless we don't take the opportunity and move forward at the same time. If we don't move forward and then scrap those jobs, yes, we're going to be in a lot of danger and we're going to be in a lot of trouble. But if we continue to push society forward, then these jobs are supposed to be pushed aside and automated. Just as they did with putting welds on cars, or just as they did in telephone switchboards, and so on and so on and so on.
Yeah.
So
my normal pro automation argument is, if I could automate everything that I do for my work, I could go sit on a beach and have a beer, smoke a joint, and relax and not worry about it.
Well, even take this podcast for example. I have a green screen behind me. Brian has a green screen behind him. We push a couple of buttons and we can put the logo behind us. If you're watching us on YouTube, put the logo behind us. You know how that used to be done? They would take each frame, cut our heads and our faces out of every single frame, and tape it over whatever the background was.
Yeah.
That's 30 frames a second for 30 minutes. Well, they would run much lower than 30 frames a second back then, but even not that long ago, you'd have to do it frame by frame, and even PAL was 25 frames a second, I think PAL is. It's still the standard over in UK.
Yeah. 20.
Yeah, 25. NTSC is 29.97. PAL is 25. And they do that, yeah. Yeah, PAL is 25 still.
Yeah, and but, even what I've done so far, like, I know that you and I, when we set up, we're pretty close to what we had set up last week. And the initial setup for my editing and my production, it took me a few hours going through and fine tweaking everything, getting us moved in. So I'm on my side, Dave's on his side. And once I got it in, I was able to automate that for every time afterwards, which is why it literally only takes me a couple of minutes now.
Yeah.
And if we were doing this on film, it'd take us a whole week worth of 40-hour workdays to get this done.
We would not be able to do this if it hadn't been for this automate. But the point is that these are the way things used to be done. Film used to be cut. Mm-hmm. The reason why we still use phrases like roll the tape, cuts, splicing, is because literally those were what they used to have to do by hand. They would have to hard cut the film in certain places, splice in two films on top of each other. Oh, yeah, even
rolling tape was a manual thing. They had somebody that had really good time actually doing that on a camera.
And that was how many frames per second was however fast they were cranking that lever.
Mm-hmm.
And, automation is not a bad thing, is what I'm trying to get at. Is, yes, it's scary. Yes, things change. It sounds horrible when you look at the jobs that would be possibly lost, but
you can only
grab a history book.
So many jobs before there's none.
Yeah, grab a history books.
Yeah.
So
I figure we're gonna automate ourselves into a utopian society.
That tends to be the dream for some people.
That's what I keep saying. I'm like, But
then again, if we say that too loudly, people call us hippie liberals. So, hey, I'm just grateful that I'm English. I'm just grateful that I am offered the opportunity to be able to do these types of things and live in a society where I can do this stuff.
I'm grateful you just survived that stroke. Yeah.
Anyway, that's this week.
Okay. Don't let this podcast distract you from the fact that in 1998, The Undertaker threw mankind off of Hell in a Cell and fell 16 foot through an announcer's table.
And that was only a couple years before Stone Cold Steve Austin stunned the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Just remember that, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump serves as the first president to have ever been in the WWE Hall of Fame.